Kevin Haugen, who's on paternity leave here today, and excited to be talking with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. Sheriff, how you doing today?
I'm doing real well, but obviously not as good as Kevin Haugen. Congratulations to him and his wife on a newborn. That's fantastic.
Baby Natalie.
Yeah, Natalie. And I get the pleasure of spending the afternoon with you instead.
I don't know. That's a pleasure. I'm glad I'm spending my afternoon with you in this capacity,
Right.
not another capacity,
Right.
right? And I haven't talked to Kevin very much yet, so I don't know how his sleep patterns are yet, or because it's one of those things where I don't want to text him at like say 10:30 in the morning because
Yeah.
I'm like, what if baby was up all night and then all of a sudden, oh, it's
10:25, he gets some sleep, and
Right.
then random person texts.
I'm sure he's listening to us right now to make sure everything's going well. But my advice to you, Kevin, really simple: is you sit down. I had a conversation with Caitlin the first night that I stayed, or the day I stayed home with her after my wife went back to work, and she kept me up all day. So I said, Caitlin, listen. From now on, Daddy needs to sleep. You need to sleep through the night, and we'll get along just fine. And for the most part, she listened.
Wow.
So you just got to have that father-daughter talk and get that out of the way early, and things will go well.
I thought that my children were all going to be born potty trained and sleeping all night, but neither one of them happened.
Right.
So again, it's congratulations to Kevin, and he's not sure how he's using his paternity leave. He may be back next week and then take some time, later on. But we'll hold down the fort until he gets back.
Well, we miss him, and congratulations.
Well, Sheriff Schmidt, obviously a lot going on today. We're going to talk about a lot of celebrations and such as the day goes along, but a couple of things I wanted to bring up as well. It seems like the last few weeks we have had a lot of accidents across Dodge County. Some like we had one yesterday. I know that it clogged up traffic a little bit, but there are no serious injuries. And then obviously Saturday morning we had one that tragically ended, in a fatality. And just from your perspective in the Sheriff's Department, what are the last few weeks been like with multiple accidents?
Well, believe it or not, we have a lot more accidents than people actually realize. We have accidents all the time. Every day we have crashes. So sometimes they come to light a little bit more. We've had a little bit more severity lately with some of these crashes, and that's unfortunate. And that makes it a lot more difficult. Obviously, we've had a couple very serious, including fatal crash, so that's difficult on our staff. Not nearly as bad as it is on the families that are involved, but certainly they're difficult and challenging for us to investigate. We still have a job to do. We go out there, try to piece it back together, figure out what happened, so we have some answers. And if somebody has to be held accountable, we will make sure that we do that.
Sure, it just got to be hard, because obviously, going in to a job in law enforcement, you're always going to have to deal with, tragedy and things like that. But it still probably never gets easy, does it?
It really doesn't, and it actually weighs on you after a long period of time. The first couple that I had, you don't know the person, and it still weighs on you. But eventually, as you have more and more and more, 20-some years I've been doing this, and I've seen a lot of tragedy, and that really does start to weigh on you. And I did recently have a conversation with a parent of somebody that passed away and expressed some of that. And there's times when we're out at those scenes and you get back to your car and you sit down, you just take a breath, and some tears roll out of your eyes a little bit because you're sitting there trying to deal with some of that. And how do you manage that tragedy in the best way possible? We have a very difficult job of having to not only investigate these and put them back together, hold people accountable. Sometimes those people you have to hold accountable are injured severely, and it's not always easy, but we have a job to do at the end of the day, and my staff do a fantastic job of doing it.
What is, if somebody may not know, they maybe have seen it on TV, but it's never the same. What is accident reconstruction like? Is it like what is the process? How does that work?
That's a really in-depth process. We get there. I'll take you from the beginning of a crash when we get there right through it. I think that'd be interesting for a lot of our viewers. So what happens is we usually send 2 or 3 deputies minimum to a crash where there's blockage or injury. We'll get there. Our first responsibility when we get there is to protect the scene, to make sure somebody else can't come through and make the scene worse. So we're setting up the roadblocks if we need to, directing traffic, and very next thing is checking on those occupants and making sure that they're okay. And are there injuries? Providing first aid, getting resources there, and that's really the very first step. Beyond that, especially once EMS and fire get there to kind of take over that care of the patient. Now we have to start investigating and figure out what happened so that we can piece it together. And that starts with identifying everybody there, witnesses, getting their statements. A lot of times it's written statements, and then going back later and following up and getting details that they might not have put in their written statement. And that's all for your basic crashes. But then once we get into a little bit more in depth into what actually happened in the crash, we're looking at some of the reaction of the car. Where did it happen, first of all? You might have a car that's down the road 150 feet, but the crash actually happened well back before the crash site. And so we have to go back and find where was that initial point of impact. We're going to bring in our drone a lot of times and take aerial pictures so that we can reconstruct it. We'll get our tape measure out and measure it. With the drone, we don't have to do that quite as much because that does a lot of that measuring for us. But getting the old-fashioned tape measure out and measuring where did the impact start, where did the vehicle come to rest, where did the yaw marks and the skid marks start. All of that can help us put together formulas for how fast was that vehicle going prior to the crash.
Yeah, that's one of the things too. People always ask, well, how long? Sometimes roads can be closed for hours after an accident, depending on how much, how the investigation goes, and there's probably sometimes a lot more to look at than other time, and so you don't want to have anybody going through there until you absolutely know you're finished with what you're doing on those kind of things, correct?
Right, and unfortunately, the emergency vehicles that get there at the beginning, a lot of times they drive over the top of the crash scene and some of that evidence. But you're absolutely right. We want to keep that closed down for that period of time. It's gotten a lot shorter than it had been in the past because of the equipment we have, our iPad ability to take pictures, our drone camera that can take pictures. We don't have to do the 4, 5, 6 hours that we have to shut down a scene in the past for measurements and photographs. It can be done really in about an hour a lot of times, which is incredible, and we can get those roads open. But there's so much information we have to capture to make sure we can piece it together and show this person was exceeding the speed limit or this person blew the stop sign. And then there's a black box in the cars too. So we take those cars and we download those black boxes and get information. Was there braking? What was their speed? What was their acceleration? The infotainment system. Were they on their phone when they were driving? All of those pieces we have to put together.
So you mentioned like the black box and such. So say if somebody, because obviously phones cause a lot more so many accidents now, or people just not paying attention in general, but on their phones. So if there's an accident and you anticipate or think that, hey, maybe somebody was on their phone and not looking. A lot of times I remember seeing accident reports where cars never even brake, because they're like on their phone and then the traffic in front of them stops. How can you go back and look at that kind of data to see if they actually were on their phone or not?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. Number one, we got the black box of the car, but the infotainment system, a lot of our cars connect to our phones, right?
Yes.
Your car downloads information from your phone. So if we have your car, we can download that information using equipment we have at the sheriff's office to see either through a warrant or through consent, what was that person doing at the time? If the phone is there, we may seize the phone and take that as evidence, write a warrant for it to gather information. Was that phone used during the commission of a crime? Because it very well could be a crime that you have now negligently killed somebody by using your phone. So it's very important to put those phones down and not have them up when you're driving. A lot of people don't think about the repercussions that come from if I'm on my phone, just like alcohol use. I mean, you got those repercussions that could come from one mistake that you made. It could be very serious, including jail time or prison time.
When you have to call in MedFlight, is that sometimes how do you figure out? Like I know we had an accident this weekend. I think the fairgrounds was kind of the site where they got called to. Is it sometimes difficult to find a place where you can land a helicopter in that area? I mean, how much of a challenge can that be?
Usually we can find something that's relatively close.
Okay.
Sometimes it'll be just landing it on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we have a bigger area that we can put them down. But generally speaking, we are putting the helicopter right on the road itself, just down from the scene. It's very close proximity. We can get the doctor from MedFlight there quickly, along with the nurses, to assess and get him in the helicopter and get him going quickly. The quicker we can get them going to a level 1 trauma center like Summit down by Oconomowoc or Madison or Milwaukee, the better the chances they have of survival. They're incredible doctors and nurses that can then really do wonderful things once we get them there. It's just getting them from that scene out of that car. After we extricate them, get them on a cot, get them in the bird, they can do some fantastic things. So it's great that we can do that and land on the road a lot of times.
Talking with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt on Daily Dodge TV and also 95.3 WBEV Community Comment here today. You mentioned you had a wrong-way driver that you had one of your deputies was fast thinking and maybe avoided another potential tragedy here recently?
Yeah, yesterday. I was on my way home and one of our deputies called out, 151 and 33. We had an elderly elderly driver that was driving the wrong way on Highway 151. He was right there. He was able to get that car stopped, pulled over, corrected. This person was confused, had people honking the horn at her, which obviously that should be happening to make that person aware. He got her stopped, got her off the highway, got her done driving for the day, and most likely there'll be some kind of a driver review that follows that. But those are very serious, dangerous situations. Last year we had 3 wrong way crashes that resulted in 6 fatalities, and so we have to really do a better job of educating the public. And I'm trying to get, I've been talking to Brian Field at the Highway Department, trying to get arrows painted on all of these on and off ramps. He's working on it. I think we're going to get there this year.
What has been usually the cause when you get a wrong way driver? There's probably multiple factors I'm thinking they could have. You mentioned needing arrows to go on and off, and I'm sure sometimes maybe, people maybe being impaired in some capacity, but obviously, especially when you get the 4-lane highways or the each way when it comes to a cross traffic, so we're not the on ramp. So I would always think it maybe be the cross traffic where somebody turns left and misses, not thinking. But do you actually get people that will maybe somehow end up on the wrong on ramp and end up going straight down the on ramp or whatever?
So Deputy Meyer arrested the one we put on social media a couple months ago. That one was heavily impaired.
Okay.
And made that arrest just going the wrong way. Last year, one of them we believe was wrong way because of the GPS direction. Got turned around. Some of them we never know. Interestingly enough, I was in my squad. I was going up through Oshkosh a couple weeks ago, and I was getting off on 9th Street in Oshkosh, and here one comes down the off ramp the wrong way towards me. I was in my squad, and while out of county, those instances we are able to act. And I turned my lights on. We got them stopped, going the wrong way, got him flipped around. Pretty sure, this is an Oshkosh thing, pretty sure it was an unlicensed driver.
Okay.
Was very inexperienced, didn't understand with the roundabouts, which way to go. Inexperience has a lot to do with some of those things, and that was a prime example. People who don't have their licenses, driving on the road, don't have that experience, don't have that behind the wheel education, going the wrong way on a highway can be a fatal mistake.
Talking with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt here on 95.3 WBEV and Daily Dodge TV. You can watch Daily Dodge TV simply by going to Daily Dodge on the YouTube page, and you can click and watch everything we do live here and roll back these as many times as you want. Daily Dodge TV on YouTube, or go to dailydodge.com and click it there as well. You mentioned, a lot of times wrong way drivers are impaired. Obviously, you have made an effort in Dodge County to try to, prevent as much in as many impaired driving situations as you can. And that comes with obviously making people aware of different things via social media. You want to kind of talk a little bit about that and your stance and your aggressiveness on helping prevent drunk driving?
Sure. My wife and I were actually talking about this the other day. We were driving on 151, and she was talking to me about. And this shows that I listen to my wife when she's talking to me. She was talking to me about a work event that she was at. Was in Dodge County. A couple of them were drinking, and she advised one of them, "You better not be driving. I don't want to see you on our Wednesday Post." They had no idea what that was because it's from out of county. Well, the Wednesday Post is we post all the OWIs that are arrested by the sheriff's office, not the local PDs, but the sheriff's office arrests every Wednesday. They're a public record of an arrest. The Supreme Court is comfortable with this, and so what we are trying to do is get people to not want their picture there. In addition to not getting in a crash or killing people, we want to make sure that they're not driving. How did I get there? So I'm talking to my wife about it, and I reminded her the reason why I did this was because I'd been to too many of these fatal crashes involving alcohol. One of them was a crash in which this individual was convicted and is doing time in prison. A crash occurred on Highway E and Swan Road. It was a multiple vehicle crash. There were 7 people injured, 1 fatality, and the person that was driving had, I believe it was his 3rd offense, multiple times being arrested for this, and tore families apart. And right before that, we were on 151. I said, ironically, we're driving past this other one right now. It was a double fatal vehicle going the wrong way. Both drivers were impaired. They went head on. One of the drivers was about to get married, and his soon-to-be widow, they weren't married yet, was just destroyed and devastated. And she sent me a picture of her in her wedding dress, holding a picture of her fiance next to her on their wedding day after that crash. She was just devastated. And those 2 were the ones that, okay, we have to do more. And that's one of the reasons why I post these. It's not to embarrass people. It's to encourage people to stop driving while impaired, because it's ripping families apart, and we can't continue to have people operating under the influence, getting in these crashes, people dying, and families being ripped apart. And from my perspective, I'm done going to them. And for a while there, it was so bad. I was one of those guys. I got back in my car. My people were all working, and I got back, and I had to just sit there and decompress, because it was one after another after another. And that really was weighing on me. And if it's weighing on me, I can only imagine what it's weighing on, or the hearts of those victims' families, the family members that lost a loved one. And that's why we push so hard. We do not tolerate impaired driving in Dodge County. We will arrest you. We will take you to jail. You will be booked in. Your face will be on social media the following Wednesday. The only exception to that is if it's some kind of a very serious crash or fatality. We will use a little bit of discretion, but if they recover, eventually their picture will be there. And it's all about trying to save lives. And I understand people don't like that, but my job is to save lives. And if it means that we have to put that out there in the public, we will do that. And I will tell you that I have bars that have, through the grapevine, people have told me they've been in bars just outside of Dodge County, and they say, okay, you're leaving, don't drive in Dodge County. Not a good idea. That's the reputation I want. We are going to enforce it strictly, and we are going to make sure that we minimize the amount of fatal crashes because of impaired driving.
What are the numbers like in Dodge County when it comes to impaired driving? I mean, do you have those numbers? I mean, you mentioned every Wednesday and posting. I mean, where is it compared to like other places, or just do you have numbers? I mean, it probably is high. I mean, Wisconsin, I think, has a reputation. I was down in Florida a couple weeks back, and somebody had asked about Wisconsin, and they see these things on TikTok and about the drinking culture in Wisconsin, because it is different maybe in the Midwest and even in Wisconsin than it is in other parts of the country.
Yeah, and keep in mind, it's more than just alcohol. It's impaired driving, drugs as well, and they are seeing that nationwide. But we average about 5-6 a week that we're posting on social media. I have one deputy who is extremely good at identifying them. I thought I was good. He is extremely good. He's getting 90, 95 OWI arrests a year. One deputy working one full-time position. Almost 100 arrests a year for one deputy here in the county, and others other deputies are in the 20s or 30, maybe 40 a year. But I know there are less because there are less fatalities occurring in Dodge County. There's a lot that goes into that: road design, vehicle design, things like that. But there are less serious crashes than we had in the past. We used to average in the 20s for serious fatal crashes. Lately, over the last, since about 2018, we've been hovering. We've had a couple of years that have been 8, the lowest in history in Dodge County. And most of the time, it's between 8 and 13, which is still too many, but it's not the 20, 24, 30 that we had been seeing in the past. So I think it all happened about the same time. We implemented this policy and other things, and we've seen a reduction in fatal crashes. And we don't know how many crashes we have prevented because they didn't happen. But the statistics are showing us we're moving in the right direction.
You mentioned you have one of your deputies is pretty good at eyeing, like, what types of things can you notice that you say, hey, there might be something going on here, whether it be somebody that's just, maybe driving, they're tired, or I guess that probably would include, you probably see some of the things. But what do you think allows him to be able to see things and maybe figure things out, that there might be something going on here?
He's very sharp. He makes a lot of stops.
Okay.
And which is good. And sometimes they're stops that people say, really, you stopped me for this? But it's a traffic violation, and I support that. He stops you, has a conversation, corrects that behavior, and because of that volume of stops that he makes, he's able to identify weaving behavior, erratic driving. When he gets up there, I mean, we're looking for your pupils. We can see a lot in the eyes, whether your pupil size, the bloodshot glassy eyes. He's looking for odor and erratic behavior, and he's very good at detecting it. I'll say that some other people might not be as good and maybe make that stop and aren't able to pick up some of the subtle things that he's able to pick up, but he's very, very good at it, and we are constantly training our staff to try and be better like him.
I was going to ask. I remember one time when it comes to law enforcement checking for impaired driving. When I covered the Badgers at the Music City Bowl, and that was played on New Year's Eve one day. Got done like at 5, 6 o'clock at night, and I decided I didn't want to stay in my hotel. I just wanted to get home, so I got in my car and drove home and got through into Chicago. I still remember it. They had law enforcement at every toll booth. Mm-hmm. You had to stop at every toll booth, and they not only when you pay, they actually started asking you questions and stuff. And they were really I kind of asked one of the guys. He goes, "Well, we're just here to make sure everybody gets home safe tonight, And they took it to that, they took it to that level to trying to make sure people stayed safe by every time you paid a toll, there was a deputy from the Chicago PD or the sheriff's department, whoever it was, basically speaking with every single person that went through that toll booth.
Right, and in Wisconsin, we're not able to do any of those things because the laws are such that you can't do sobriety checkpoints like that. Mm-hmm. So we have to find other ways, and part of that is stopping people for those minor traffic violations, and they are a traffic violation. It's a legal stop. A no front license plate is a legal stop in the state of Wisconsin. Going 5-10 miles over the speed limit is a legal stop in the state of Wisconsin. So we make those stops in an effort to try and interdict the criminal activity that's going on, whether that be impaired driving or others. That same deputy makes a lot of drug arrests as well, and he's very good at it. And we have a lot of deputies that are really picking up on the clues, which is fantastic. And we're getting those people off the streets and keeping our roads safer.
Do many states have have laws that prevent you from doing checkpoints? You said Wisconsin, you can't do so. This is probably in the early 2000s in Illinois. So I don't know if that's changed from now or not. But are there a lot of states that have those laws, or are there a lot of states where that's legal that you're aware of?
There's some that do and some that don't. Okay. I really don't know what the numbers are, but I know across the country there are places where they can do the sobriety checkpoints. We're
talking with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt here on Daily Dodge TV and 95.3 WBEV. You almost said 1430 ESPN because I do a lot of work over there. Do you want to talk about we're going to talk Packers here instead of asking a lot of heavy stuff early, and there's one other topic we're going to talk about that's a little heavier than a lot of positives. So we want to take care of that one first. Sure. We were just talking a little bit about, with the RNC coming, and, obviously it's going to be an interesting summer when it comes to elections and stuff. And, we're not that far away probably from primary elections when it comes to the fall race. But, elections and electioneering, there's probably going to be some things that are going to be on people's minds, and you need to make sure that everything stays legal and up to what you can and cannot do here. When people go to the polls,
right? And so it's something that we are going to be focusing on with our staff this summer, is really making sure that the laws are being followed as well as we can enforce them. The laws are on the books for a reason, to make sure that we have election integrity. That's our goal, is to make sure there's election integrity. Our goal is also to ensure that people can vote freely without the fear of retaliation or the fear of they knew who I voted for, or pressuring them to vote in a certain way. Certainly endorsements are one thing, but electioneering, for example, going to the polls, you can't electioneer within 100 feet of a polling station.
What does electioneering mean? Somebody may not know what that term means.
Electioneering is standing there within that 100 feet with a sign saying you need to vote for this guy, or handing out literature. This is who I want you to vote for, there's some gray areas there about picking up people and driving them to the polls. But once you're there, if you're in that 100 feet, there's no electioneering. We're picking you up and I'm dropping you off. That's it. There's no conversation about it. There's no trying to dissuade somebody. Things like ballot drop boxes. I know that's coming before the Supreme Court again, but they're not illegal. They're not legal in Wisconsin, and for good reason. We want everybody's vote to count. One person per vote. That's how it should be, and that's what we're looking to do. I also am a little bit nervous about what's going to happen with RNC being so close. I'm fairly confident that there will be anti-protesting to this convention in Milwaukee. Now, will that spill over into things into Dodge County? I don't know. I will let you know that if anybody is going to break the law and violate someone's constitutional rights, we will hold them accountable. You can't say, I'm upholding my constitutional rights while infringing on somebody else's. So we are going to make sure that we uphold the law. If people want to campaign, that's fine. They want to endorse, that's fine. They want to support their candidate. Absolutely, that's fine. Those are all things that you can do in our country. But when you violate the law, that's not going to be tolerated here in Dodge County. And we are going to make sure that it's a safe, free, and fair election for all of our polling stations. And I can tell you the clerks in Dodge County are fantastic. And if there's a problem, they're going to let me know about it.
Has there been many issues of electioneering where have you do you take many calls? It probably depends on what kind of election, what's going on. Does the department take many calls on election day or election related calls in general?
We don't, and I think part of that is because of the stance that we've taken on this. Last presidential election, we had one case we had to investigate. We investigated that case because it was a person who voted twice, and it was found that this person likely, because of their advanced years, probably was confused when they voted absentee and then voted at the poll. But we certainly did a full investigation on it. We will not allow somebody to vote twice if we're aware of it. We are going to investigate it. We are going to charge it. We are going to ask the DA's office to prosecute, which I believe they will. And so those are the types of things that we're going to be looking for on election day. But because of our approach, working with the clerk's office, making sure the clerks are well trained, we then go out and we have deputies go out to every polling station that we can a couple times a day, not to sit there and linger, but to make sure that everybody knows that there is a presence. This last one that we had in April, we wanted to do a little bit more of that, but we had a snowstorm and we had more cars in the ditch that day we've had in many years. So we couldn't do it that day as well as we would have liked, but our goal is primary day. The November election, to make sure that we are there, we are providing that appearance or that presence to ensure people don't break the law or even get ideas of breaking the law, because we just want it to be a free and fair election.
And again, it's election season's not going to be that. It seems like it's May, but it's mid-May,
yeah.
And it's not that far away. And I'm sure it's going to get pretty busy just when it comes to hearing things and seeing things on your TV and on your radio and different types of things. And obviously, if anybody ever has any questions about something, they think they're seeing something that's not right, they can always give your department a call.
Yeah, give us a call. One of the easiest ways to do it now is on our app. If you download our Sheriff's Office app, you can do an incident report right there. Type it in, send it to us. It'll go to dispatch, and then they will put it out to one of our staff to investigate. Super easy to do. You don't even have to call into dispatch anymore.
There's your app right there, Sheriff. Right?
He is on the ball over there. That ninja is a good producer you got here.
We are talking with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt here on Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV and Daily Dodge TV. Sheriff, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. A lot of fun stuff going on. A lot of honors going on within the Sheriff's Department and law enforcement across the region over the last couple of months. I know because you said last month you had the month off. Hopefully, did you still get paid? Did you still get the big check you get from?
I was working. We just couldn't work out a day that I could be here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You still got your check from the station then, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh no, I'm just kidding.
From the station. No, am I supposed to get paid for this?
I don't know. I don't
talk about that.
No, I don't. I'm just kidding out there. I'm just kidding. So this is Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV and Daily Dodge TV. We'll be back with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt next on 95.3 WBEV and Daily Dodge TV.
This week From the Slimmerland Furniture Studio, this is 95.3 WBEV Beaver Dam, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
It is 1 o'clock as we continue on Community Comment on Daily Dodge TV and 95.3 WBEV. You can watch us on Daily Dodge TV by clicking on the Daily Dodge TV tab at dailydodge.com or liking Daily Dodge TV on YouTube. And you can just click on it and you'll get to see us live and in living color as we bring in for another segment, Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. Sheriff, thanks for giving us some time.
Oh, my pleasure. Hey, before we get into the next segment, I just got a message from my wife. My wife said that she was very thankful. She was listening. She said she's very thankful that I was actually listening to her when we were having a conversation. So
I thought she was going to also say that the TV that she's watching you on, it really does take 10 pounds off you.
Yeah, sure. No, I heard it adds 10 pounds.
It's the other way.
That's
right.
It's the other way. And I didn't get a chance to thank you for my birthday wishes. Mm-hmm. First of all, my name is Dale, not Dave.
I said Dave. I did say Dave Schmidt once. I'm like, how'd that come out?
Well, then the rest of the day, it turned out to be Cassandra Schmidt's husband,
yes.
Dale, for the rest of the day. So I really appreciate you all giving me some extra attention and mostly giving my wife attention that day on my birthday. And as long as Cale isn't doing it for my wife's birthday, she will still get announced on her birthday. The one year he decided he was going to say it was my birthday on my wife's birthday, and that didn't go over well. So thank you for giving her attention. She deserves it because too often she's referred to as the sheriff's wife. Her name is Cassandra. Mm-hmm. So that's why the joke that day. But and my name is Dale from now on. So.
See, the L was tipped up, and at least I didn't call you Waldschmidt.
Right. Thank you.
Could have done that, right? Our fine friend, Sheriff over in Fond du Lac County. I failed to mention, we got talking about some important topics. If you do have a question for the sheriff, you can give us a call at 885-4446. That's 885-4446. And I believe we actually have a caller on the line right now. Good afternoon.
Hi, Wade. How are you?
Oh, hey, Tyler.
Hi, Officer Schmidt. I have a question for you. I'm not sure if you've heard of the squatter law or not.
The squatter law?
Yes.
I'm not familiar with it.
A friend of mine was telling me something about the squatter law that where you can't be arrested for being in an apartment for a certain amount of time, with like 20 years or something like that. I was just wondering if you've heard of that.
Okay, well, I think what you're talking about is if you take up residency somewhere, and believe it or not, if you are squatting somewhere for a while, after a certain amount of time, and there's no set amount of time, but if you've taken up residency there, believe it or not, you have to be evicted from that property by the person that owns it. So I think that's what you're referring to. Eviction laws are interesting, but if you go and stay at somebody's apartment and you're living there for a month, 2 months, the landlord actually has to have you evicted from that property, even though you didn't have a lease in the first place. It's quite an interesting law. I don't know all the details to it, but there is some truth to that.
Thank you, and I hope you had a good birthday, and thank you for your service.
Thanks, Tyler.
I think it gets publicity a little bit. I think some of the laws are different from state to state when it comes to squatter laws, where I know there are some places where you can, like say somebody goes on vacation, somebody takes up residency in your home somehow, or it's a rental that's not being used. And if you're in a certain amount of time, they legally can't evict you without going through the court system and things like that. And I don't think Wisconsin's laws are quite that unique.
I have a rental property that I just did a lease, and it says that right in the lease, it says you can't have somebody there longer than I want to say it's 15 days.
Yeah.
It puts it on that tenant that you are responsible to make sure somebody is not there, because that's where when you get into that process where a landlord would then have to go through the court process to evict them from the property. And so you can put some onus back on the tenant by doing that.
It's like Axel Foley in Beverly Hills Cop.
Right. Exactly.
I guess Beverly Hills Cop 2, I think, is when you end up squatting in somebody's house. Now, a lot of positives when it comes to law enforcement and people involved in law enforcement over the last couple of months, and a lot of different, let's say, weeks or reasons to celebrate. Where do you want to start with all the great things going on with people working in law enforcement and tied to law enforcement?
Well, since you didn't pay me last month and I'm here this month, I'd love to talk a little bit about a couple of things last month. We had our communications week, and the most multitasked people in the county. I would have to say, taking your 911 calls and then taking your non-emergency calls and going from a really tragic situation to my cat ran away. Those types of phone calls, and then dispatching fire, dispatching EMS, setting off the tornado sirens, doing all of those things. So we spent a lot of time that week recognizing them for all the great work that they did. We started our big series of recognizing our staff by posting pictures of each team on our app and on our social media page, so we can everybody can see who those faces are that they're talking to on the other end of the line. They're fantastic, and I wanted to make sure that we recognize them.
So they actually are the ones that help signal the sirens?
Yeah. They've got a button right in dispatch, and when the National Weather Service issues a tornado warning for Dodge County, they set them off for the entire county.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's a very, very, like I said, tough job, because anytime, you see the light up or it rings, I don't know how exactly it works, you never know what's going to be on the other end of that line, right?
Right. And it can be anything from a serious crash to a fire to like I said, my cat's in the tree.
Yeah.
So or my furnace isn't working. Can you help me with a furnace? They'll call
What
dispatch.
channel are the Packers on?
Exactly. And believe it or not, those things happen. Sometimes people even call themselves in for drunk driving. That has actually happened here in Dodge County. And so you never know what you're going to get. And so we wanted to thank them. I think it was the third week in April that we did that, second or third week in April. We spent a lot of time working on recognizing our communication staff, because they do fantastic work.
How are you fully staffed in that department?
We are. We have 2 in training right now, but they fill us out, and we're always looking for especially experienced part-time staff to supplement, give them time off if somebody gets hurt or sick, to fill in. But they're doing really, really well, and we're lucky in Dodge County. That is not the case in most places. Most places dispatch is down several people. From what I understand, Fond du Lac right now is down 10 dispatchers. So it's a real struggle, and we're lucky to have the ones we have.
Can that in other places can also be maybe kind of a revolving door type of thing, where people are in and out, they're in and out, and you're always kind of new people, where here you're pretty stable?
Yeah, well, and a lot of the people that we have there are longtime employees. They're not looking for other jobs, and once you get into that newer employee, not that there's anything wrong with the younger generation, it's just a different school of thought on how they view their work life. And right now we have a lot of longer term employees who have been there a long time, aren't looking for any career change, and they're happy where they're at, and that's been very helpful for us. We're seeing in other areas of the sheriff's office that isn't quite the case, like in the jail. There's people that come in for a few years, they decide they might want to go into a different career field or something, and things we hadn't seen in the past, but we're seeing across the country, and certainly across the state. I sit down with the sheriffs quarterly, and we all have the same conversation. We're all struggling with the same thing.
Was it also Corrections Officers Week in the last couple of months?
It was last week.
It was last week.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was last week. So last week we recognized all of them. And just before that, we recognized our support staff, and recognizing all of those people. Last week, to kind of top off the week, it was kind of cool. One of our current correctional officers was given we call it a scholarship, where we like to send our non-sworn people through the police academy to get them certified. If they ever want to transfer into the road, they can do so. And Nathan Hepner was going down to Waukesha County Technical College, and he graduated last week, I believe Thursday night. So that was a nice top off for the week, that we can do things for our correctional officers to improve them, even in their current positions, for potential advancement into the future. And Nathan, former explorer, left for a little while. I went into the Department of Corrections, came back as a correctional officer here, and has just been fantastic in our jail, and we look forward to his future.
Corrections officers they have a hard job, that's an important job and a necessary job, right?
Yeah,
So if you tip your cap to them.
It's a interesting job, that's for sure. The jail, what we've been told is we house federal inmates in our jail as well. We're told we are one of the best facilities in the country as far as jails that are holding facilities. Clean, neat, well behaved. It's really kind of every time a federal agency comes in and talks to us about this and gives us praise for how neat and clean and well behaved our inmates are, it really is a pat on the back to all of those correctional officers, because they're the ones that make that work. And so I really do thank them for all of that hard work, getting that done each and every day. It's amazing what they're able to do. And we would love to add to that group. We've got applications we're taking right now to add to that group, and it's rewarding, challenging at times, but they're doing a fantastic job, and I wanted to make sure we recognized them. We did that same thing last week. every day on the app we had something, or just about every day, where we were highlighting a different group within the jail.
What is the hiring process like to become, if somebody wants to be a corrections officer, what type of experience do they need, and what's the hiring process like?
So as far as experience goes, need to be graduate from high school, and good background, good driving record helps, and we're looking for individuals who are dedicated, who want to learn. We will train you on how to do the job, and it's really not a difficult process. We have interviews, we got a background, a psychological exam, a drug screen, and then we get you rolling and get you through the training. And we want to have a right fit for our agency too. It isn't just anybody that can walk in the door. We want to make sure we have a right fit. But if anybody's interested in working over there, we can have you come into the jail and just do a tour, or even sit with one of the correctional officers for a little while and see if it's something for you.
Excellent. Again, check out your app. You said you have information on that?
It's on the app, on our website. You can go there and get information, or even apply. Applications are done on the Dodge County website.
And what is the website? Just the Dodge County website?
Dodge County website, if you go to the DodgeCountySheriff.com, that'll take you right to our website, and on the top you can click on hiring.
Talking with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt here on Daily Dodge TV and 95.3 WBEV Community Comment. And Police Week was also as well mixed in.
That's this week.
This week it's Police Week, so we're celebrating police as well.
Yeah, this week is a big week. There's a lot going on. We again are highlighting our patrol staff. We've had a couple of the teams already out there on our app and social media. Today we had a first ever career day where we brought in high school age students from Dodge, Fond du Lac, and Washington counties. School districts helped us put together 72 young men and women from high school age who have an interest in a law enforcement career. They came in and we showed them a variety of different things within the sheriff's office. It was really neat. We had the parking lot. We had all our things out in the parking lot. Our command vehicle, our armored vehicle, our boats, ATVs, UTVs, our new inflatable wavy guy that we're trying to name was out there, and we gave tours of dispatch, the jail, and some conversation in the detective bureau. So gave them a good experience of what it's like to be in law enforcement, and we want to do that every year moving forward, and hopefully that leads into an apprenticeship type program that we're trying to start. Tomorrow is another big day for us. Tomorrow is our Law Enforcement Memorial. The Dodge County Executive Law Enforcement Association is having its annual Law Enforcement Memorial. I will be there as the president, getting things rolling. We'll have Chaplain Bauer there to give a brief address. But then this year's keynote speaker, I'm very excited for it. He's newer to the county. He's been here a couple of years. And it's our Dodge County Administrator, Cameron Clapper. He has been fantastic for Dodge County. He has a lot of great ideas. He is a huge supporter of the work that we do, law enforcement, and he is going to talk to us a little bit about the sacrifices that law enforcement make, and what it means to him, and what law enforcement means to him as part of our address there. And then we are going to honor the individuals who have fallen in the line of duty throughout the years here in Dodge County, and we have a number of them. A couple of the most recent, the helicopter crash that happened down in town of Ashippun. They're on their way through, and the helicopter crashed. They're from Milwaukee County, and we honor them at our memorial. And Milwaukee County Sheriff is sending people up here for that as well. And a number of people through the years that have passed away. We'll honor all those tomorrow. Thursday, we have our third annual Brat Fry. All of the sheriff's the sheriff's office. I hope I'm not competing with the WBEV.
We don't have one on Thursday.
All right, good. So come on over to Juneau, right in by the admin building, Main and Oak Grove, or Oak Street. We will have our sheriff's office admin team will be out there cooking brats, burgers, hot dogs, and we'll have some chips and soda out there for everybody. And we've done it 3 years in a row. Kind of a get out in the community, get to know people in the community. Our people in the administration building in the county love it because they can get out and get a burger right in their front lawn. And but come on out. We'll have our inflatable wavy guy out there again. We're trying to name him.
Let's do a contest. You mentioned how can we have a contest to name inflatable wavy guy?
I've already got it going. Today we had little cards out there for the students to submit names. Thursday, we're doing the same thing. We're looking for a really good name, and once we get the right name for our inflatable waving guy, it's the tall one, real skinny. It's got the blower on the bottom. It was donated to us through the Police Lights of Christmas, and we want to have a good name for our deputy. So if you want to help us out and see if you can get some additional names, I'm just looking for a name along with the person who is making the recommendation and their phone number, so we can recognize them once we pick it. We're gonna take suggestions at the Brat Fry on Thursday as well.
I'll have to think about that because I spent last week trying to name Jack Jones out at the dump. I decided I was Baron von Berger.
Okay.
I was going to name him, so I'll have to try to think of something for if I can get in the mix. Am I too old to come up with a name?
Oh, no, absolutely. Open to anybody. I mean, if you want to have something on the morning show and come up with some ideas too, I'm all about it.
I'm going to write that down. So inflatable wavy guy.
Inflatable wavy deputy, I think you can call him. So deputy something is what I'm looking for.
Okay, deputy something.
Deputy something. I'm sure there's some people right now coming up with some really funny ones, but we're looking for classy, professional, but maybe some fun as well. So we'll pick one, and we'll probably recognize the person that came up with the best name.
Do you have a photo of a wavy guy yet? Because I'll post a picture and say deputy blank and name and see if we can get some interaction on our Facebook page.
I had somebody take a picture of it today, so I'll see if I can't get that. We'll see if we can't get that to you here soon.
And we'll get that rolling. And going back to the Law Enforcement Memorial tomorrow, again, if somebody joined us late, what time is that at? Where is that at?
That's a great question. 11:15 we're going to get started. We usually set up around 11. 11:15 is when we get started with it. It usually lasts about 25 minutes. And that's right in front of the administration building at our Law Enforcement Memorial, right on Main Street. And you won't be able to miss us. We are going to shut down Highway 26 there for a little bit while we have the memorial so that it's quiet. We've done it in the past where we haven't done that, and it's really hard to hear with the semi-traffic and things. So that traffic will be rerouted through Juneau. But that's tomorrow, 11:15 on Wednesday. The public is welcome to come in and be part of the memorial. Last year we had Chief Justice Annette Ziegler from the Supreme Court. This year, just as prominent Speaker Cameron Clapper, our county administrator. I'm very excited about him coming to join us.
Well, it's an important topic and an important event. So many people can come out and support, and remember those. That'd be the better.
Yeah.
Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt in the house on Daily Dodge TV and 95.3 WBEV Community Comment. I was trying to say, we have a purple thing right there. I thought that'd be a great place for the Sheriff's Department to sponsor.
I think it would be a great public service for the station just to put our name up there. So.
If you're watching it on Daily Dodge TV, you can see a space that is available right there. You mentioned you have a deputy graduation coming up this week as well?
I do. So one of our new deputies is graduating. His name's Alex Kaufman. He has just finished the academy, or is going through the academy. He will graduate on Friday. So that kind of caps off our police week. I'm going to head up to his graduation and welcome him as a full-fledged deputy. He'll start his training, I believe, on Monday. And certainly we want to congratulate him on all the hard work. It's an 18-week academy that he's been part of, and we're excited to get him out in patrol and start his official training on the road.
885-4446 if you have any questions for Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt here on 95.3 WBEV and Daily Dodge TV. So when you get a deputy, you mentioned the training. So when you hire somebody, whether it be, is it different if you hire somebody from, say, another department, another sheriff's department or police department somewhere, or if somebody's coming right out of the academy? What are the first couple of weeks like when they start working for the Dodge County Sheriff's Department?
So if you have to go to the academy, obviously that's the first step. Those who are already certified, when they get back here, the first week is a lot of doing paperwork, going out to the range, becoming certified with your firearm, making sure any of that training that needs to be done is taken care of. We might have you sit with a dispatcher, go over into the jail for a little bit, get an experience there. And the first week is really, we call first 2 weeks, kind of an orientation. Get to know our agency. You might do some riding out in the road with a trainer, but there's going to be a lot more in the office type of things. Maybe learning how to use our software systems, starting with your reading policies, those types of things. And then what happens is, starting with week 3, that's when you're really riding every day with a deputy, with a field training officer. And that goes on for about 16 weeks. And during that time, They're learning, they're watching the training officer handle the calls for the first few weeks until they feel comfortable. Then they start taking over some of those roles and start handling some of the calls, the radio traffic, and maybe eventually starting to drive. We don't have a new deputy driving immediately because they don't know the county, and we need to get places quickly. So we want them to be a little bit more familiar with the county before they're driving. They go through several phases. They have policies they need to sign off on. And then as they near the end of their training, their last 3 weeks, we call it shadow phase. The field training officer dresses in civilian clothes. They don't want to look like the deputy. They don't want people out in the public to think that they are the primary deputy. They want the trainee to do all of that. But that other deputy is undercover, so to speak, and can jump in if they need to assist if needed. And really, it's another 16 to 18 week process for that training, and before we put them on their own to make sure that they have all the tools necessary to make sure that they're comfortable doing the job. And then through the rest of their first year, we meet with them monthly. And we probably have one more ride along each month to make sure, okay, you're picking up everything, you're doing well, monitor their progress, and make sure that they're going to be successful once they're done with their probation in the first year.
I remember I've done when I was in Fond du Lac, I did a weekly show with the sheriffs and the police department, and we talk about new people coming to work. The number one thing they always said was the biggest learning curve was just where things are.
Yeah.
Whether you're being in the city or the county, obviously, is humongous. You get a call for so-and-so and so-and-so. Navigational devices, I mean, it probably helps a little bit now, but you still have to learn, on the fly of where things are and what the fastest route is if you have to get somewhere. And that's just a learning curve. You really can't learn that. You just have to experience to kind of become familiar, don't you?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And believe it or not, the technology, the GPSs, they're helpful to get places. But the downside to that is you're not looking at all of the landmarks and learning it. You're paying more attention to a GPS to try and get you there. So a lot of times we will tell people to get there off the map and put the map away, or maybe look at their computer at the map, put that away, and then drive there so that they can learn where they are. A lot of times, and we're seeing it more and more with our youth, is because they're relying on GPS so much, they don't look at the landmarks and can't go back there the next time because they were watching a screen rather than watching where they actually are. So that's part of the training, is put that technology away and learn it the old-fashioned way, so that if you need to get there when the technology isn't there, you can still get there.
Yeah. So again, it's a process, and it's appreciative to have more deputies out on the. I'm sure you'd probably like to have even more and more, right?
Yeah. Well, with the call volumes that we have and the serious calls that we have, more and more, it would be helpful to have more deputies. But it's a cost thing and a budgetary thing, and we continue to work on that and weigh out, can we afford it and can we not? Our staff do a really nice job, and we're doing okay. We're treading water. At some point, we're probably going to have to add more.
Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt, I guess I can give you the last word. If there's anything we didn't get on today, I will hand it off to you here.
I just want to say thank you to the public. A lot of times we don't always get, or I get recognition in the public because I'm out in the public. People say thank you because I'm visible. My staff don't always see that, but I can tell you here, they see it a lot more than in other places. So I want to thank the public for reaching out to our staff, for the thank yous, for the positive comments on social media. It does not go unnoticed. You may think that your comment, your positive, supportive comment, what is my word going to say? When my deputies see that, when my correctional officers, my communications officers, all of the other staff see those things, they really appreciate it. And sometimes people get a little out of hand. You'll notice a lot of times on social media, we just allow the public to defend us, and most times they do. And I really do appreciate the community we have here in Dodge County. And while people are saying thank you to police this week and Police Week, I want to say thank you to the community for the support we have.
Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt, you made it through your first show on the brand new Daily Dodge TV set.
This has been fantastic.
How comfortable was the chair?
It's not bad. It's a little low. I think you put mine down lower so you got a little bit more power. I think that maybe that's what you did.
No, we're tall guys. I had to raise mine at the break, so Justin kind of put these in here. Justin, us tall guys here. You're right. I may need help getting up off this chair before we go. Hopefully somebody's here to help us out.
This is great. Kudos to Justin for all the hard work he's done. This is a fantastic studio.
Justin Wilski built this by hand. I appreciate Jeff Hall as well producing the show here today. This has been a community comment with Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt on 95.3 WBEV and Daily Dodge TV. Have yourself a great day, everybody.